Hey everyone, it's Lisa Brown. Today we are sitting with Dan Monson with Sente Mortgage, and he's going to answer some questions and stuff for us about loans. This is Dan.
My name is Dan Monson. I'm with Sente Mortgage. I've been in the business for 19 years. The company I work with does VA, FHA, conventional conforming loans, jumbo loans, and my underwriter's office is right there. And rates is a tricky question because rates there's maybe 20 factors that go into rates. So what's the loan amount? What are your credit scores? What's the program? What's the term? Is it a second home, an owner-occupied home? There's a lot that goes into it.
What do you think is the most important thing that someone who's looking to buy a home should do first before they even start looking?
So if you're going to go look at a home, it's going to take time, it's going to take money, it's going to take effort, and you're going to be competing against others. So the first thing you should do is get pre-approved for a mortgage. Actually, these days it's pre-qualified, not pre-approved. Regulatory semantics. So what that means is you do an application with a lender, you have your credit pulled, and you provide that lender with your income and asset documents. The reason for that is you can make sure that you're truly pre-qualified, that they've truly looked at what you have available. Now that does two things. Number one, you're going out and looking at homes, and you are qualified. You know you can look at them. It breaks your heart to look at $300,000 houses and how beautiful they are, and you just fall in love with these $300,000 houses, and all you can afford is $200.
I agree.
Then you don't even want to buy it because you see a beautiful $200,000 home and you compare it to the $300,000 home you fell in love with. It just doesn't seem good enough anymore, even though that $200,000 house is amazing.
Doesn't even compare.
Yeah, it creates false. What's the word I want to use? Expectations.
False expectations is a perfect word.
So that's part of it. The other part is you can get pretty deep into the buying process. You can spend $500 on house inspections. You can get a contract. Spend hours trying to get a house. Spend hours negotiating the contract. And then you're going to pay $500 for inspections, $450 for an appraisal. Maybe there's other things you pay, option money, earnest money. And then you get down to the last week and you're not properly pre-qualified, and you find out a week or two before closing that you don't qualify. So we really, really, really want those documents up front before you ever go to look at a house, so we don't hurt people.
Exactly. And I agree with you. I think that that's probably the biggest letdown is when the perception of a pre-qualification gets you into a house, a contract, and then yet your hopes are dashed because you didn't do all the homework that was needed to have happen. Yeah. So I would also say that when a lender asks you for something, be Johnny on the spot about making it happen quickly. What made you interested in wanting to sell loans?
That's a really good question. I was coming out of a very transactional business, and I wanted to be in a business where you build long-term relationships with people. And a friend of mine worked as an appraiser at a bank, and he said, well, why don't you come over and try to be a mortgage banker? I'll introduce you to the folks, and you can see what it's all about. And it is, you do build long-term relationships with people. I have clients from 5, 10, 15 years ago who will find me and want to do a refinance or buy a next home, or they'll just have a random question and call me and ask. And then I have realtors whom I've worked with for 19 years who are still working with me now, so many years later. And that's really what I look for. So the relationship part of it, I love. Solving problems. A lot of this is a big puzzle, trying to put a puzzle together. I'm working on one right now when we're done here where somebody isn't qualified, but they want to buy in the next year, and I'm going to put the puzzle together of here's what you have to do in the next year in order to be able to buy a home.
I actually think that that's a really nice service that you're doing for them, because not all lenders will sit down and show you what you need to do to be able to qualify for the loan in a couple months or even up to a year down the road. But if you're willing to do the work, then I think that's fantastic.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm. What are some final words of advice that you would like to give the viewers and stuff before we wrap up?
when the lender asks for documents, get those documents in. Don't start preparing yourself for the mortgage before you talk to someone in the mortgage industry. I've had people say, well, I've had people come to me and say, I've done these 3 or 4 things to prepare to meet with you today, so that we'd be ready to get a mortgage. And I said, well, those 3 or 4 things that you read on the internet that you should do to prepare to get a mortgage are all counterproductive, and now you're going to have to wait 6 months because you've done some things that you shouldn't have done. So call, mortgagedan.com, shoot me an email, ask me questions. And I think that's the big thing. Is just get properly pre-qualified with all of your documents up front. Don't start preparing beforehand. Talk to a professional. I suggest me, and go from there.
Naturally.